San Diego State. I just know that they're a very good club, and we'll spend the next 3 days trying to figure out everything we can about those guys. I'm pretty familiar with Lafayette's facility and their the town and that stuff. I haven't been in Natchitoches for 4 years, right up the road. So I think it's a tremendous challenge for our club. I think it's a really good regional, and I think that our kids are excited about going on the road and having this challenge in front of us.
What's the ballpark like, John? Is there a current comparison?
At one point, I thought it played really big, but there's a lot of balls flying out of that place for whatever reason. I don't know if there were any alterations made to the ballpark, but obviously it's a great atmosphere, and obviously Coach Hudspeth's down there, and he's done a phenomenal job with their football program, and I've always been a great admirer of what they do down there. So this isn't an accident. Lafayette's been good for a while, but we're not really concerned with them because we're not guaranteed we get to play them. We are guaranteed we get to play San Diego State. And we know they're a good club. How good, don't know. But I'm sure the more I read about them here shortly, the more I'll find out.
How do you prepare for an opponent you've never seen before?
We, as the evil man once said, we have our ways. We will gather video and get a ton of information. Baseball coaches as a trade are pretty, sneaky guys. They have their ways of finding out information. So we'll find out a ton about them. They'll find out a ton about us, and they wouldn't be in the tournament if they weren't a really good club. So we'll find out a bunch shortly and get ready for those guys.
Now that you know the schedule, playing 2 o'clock Friday, and how's the practice and travel schedule set up?
I would imagine that we'll either leave here Wednesday night or Thursday morning. We'll try and practice as close to that game time as possible. Heat be a factor. Heat's a factor all over the Southeast, but especially down there. And we'll do everything to prepare our bodies, get ready for, when you're playing in the heat of the day, it becomes a little bit of an endurance thing no matter what position you play, especially the catching and pitching position. So we'll have those guys ready and compete against a really good field.
Talk about the potential of going to Oxford for a super regional.
Yeah, I'm not even. We play San Diego State. We don't play in Oxford, so that's not coach speak or anything like that. But anytime you get ahead of yourself in terms of talking about future opponents, you're making a huge mistake, and I'm really hopeful that our players don't fall into that.
You've had practice this morning. You a couple days back from Hoover. What's the team temperature at this point going into the regionals?
Like every team that I've been a part of this time of year, you really have to fight to get everything going because when you're coming off an off day and you have some soreness and you play 4 times in 4 days, that's your battle, and you slowly get back into full speed. Baseball is more of a concentration full speed thing than a physical full speed thing. So we're going to really have to grind through some practices and some heat and get where we need to be to play a good club on Friday.
How much will your research determine who may start for you on Friday?
Oh, it'll be big. Yeah, that'll be big. I feel like we have lots of opportunities or options for starting pitching. Are they more? Is San Diego State more left-handed or right-handed? Don't know, but we'll find out all that information and have some options.
John, Jackson State is the 4 in your region. Can you just kind of talk about helping them out equipment-wise after what happened with their bus and how that came about?
I think, first of all, that was all Scott Strickland and our president, Dr. Keenum. Those guys were the guys who immediately, they weren't telling me that we need to do something immediately to help before I even knew what happened. So those guys are the ones to credit. But, Mississippi State's not the only organization or school that helped those guys out. I think it was a group effort, and that's the wonderful thing about this state is it wouldn't matter who that happened to. Everybody's going to chip in our state because that's what Mississippi's all about. Everybody comes together to help each other. It doesn't matter if it's that bus situation or something much more tragic like a tornado. Everybody's going to come together, and that's why it's an honor to be part of the state and part of the brotherhood really of intercollegiate athletics.
What does it mean for this program just to be headed to a 4th straight postseason?
You know, I think, you know, certainly that's our expectation level, but you got to win. You know, we got to win in the postseason. You know, I think at some point in time when you're trying to turn a corner, you say getting there is nice. I think our kids are really focused on winning and getting to that next step. You don't want to look beyond your first game or a future opponent, but it's about winning that first game and putting ourselves in the best position to do that. So, yeah, I mean, that's the kind of stuff you think about in retrospect, and we don't, right now, hopefully we don't have time for retrospect.
When you look at who might throw, especially against San Diego State, and you've never seen them and they've never seen you, to just look more introspective and say who's ready and who's looking the best?
You talking about in terms of pitching?
In terms of, yeah, in your bullpen and with your guys, it's more like I'm evaluating my guys more than I'm evaluating what they do.
Yeah, absolutely. It's more about us than it is the opponent. But if something screams out about their club, if you do research, and it says something like, hey, a right-handed breaking ball is the way to go against this club, or left-handed sinker guy's the way to go against this club, then you're certainly going to listen to that as well.